So it's not as glamorous as you see. One of the toughest things that you have to think about before you go. People think project management is all about schedules, emails, and reports. But honestly, the hardest part has nothing to do with paperwork. It's the people side of the job. Welcome to another project management series. On this episode, I'll be talking to you about what the hardest part of being a project manager is. So come with me. Okay, so first things first, every project has multiple stakeholders. That could be the clients, it could be local authorities, it could be the finance team, and also it could be the contractors as well. And they all come with different priorities. An example is one group could want the cheapest option, and another group, for example, the local authorities, would want an option that is less disruptive to the members of the public. And then another group can maybe only care about the deadlines. And as a project manager, you're in the middle of all these different stakeholders trying to balance all their expectations. The challenge is not about giving these stakeholders weekly updates or monthly updates. What is most important is building the trust with those stakeholders, having those tough conversations, and also trying to say no, but not in a way that would ruin your relationship or put a strain in your relationship with that stakeholder. So it's not as glamorous as you see or people may portray it to be. Sometimes it's just about the difference between your project moving forward or your project completely being stalled or completely shutting down. Another example I wanted to sort of give around project management and one of the hardest, one of the toughest things that you have to think about before you go into is your emotional resilience. So that's your emotional side. Projects are so unpredictable and things can go wrong, and they can go wrong pretty quickly. Your deadlines may slip, your budget may be pressed, or even you might go over budget. And most often when all these things happen, the whole project team look to you and they look up to you for a solution. So you can't always control what happens because sometimes you can't be everywhere. But what you can control is how you respond. The best thing to do is stay calm, trying to stay calm under pressure. Do not let the frustration spill over because there's a high potential chance that it could do, because when you've got different stakeholders from different areas of the business and they're coming at you asking you various questions, it's very easy to sort of get frustrated and just lash out. So the first thing I would just say is, if you need to walk away, reassess, and then go back and respond. So staying calm under pressure, not letting the frustration spill over, and most importantly, keeping the team motivated even though you are feeling overwhelmed. That takes resilience. A real life example is where I've had three major issues, I wouldn't say issues, but three major requirements come in the space of a couple of days. And at first glance, you would think this is a lot for me to handle. And honestly, the only way I got through it is I took a step back because I had to take a breather. I took a step back and I reassessed. So based on the three issues or the three priorities that came in, what needs to be completed first? And that's where I focused my energy because not everything can be resolved at once. So what I did was I looked at all the three priorities that came through, look at the deadlines for each of them, and worked my way, first starting with what needed to be completed first, and then I worked my way and used that as a priority list to complete it. Now I will say it takes, as I said, resilience, because when it does come at you, you could automatically feel overwhelmed. So like I mentioned, take a step back, reassess the situation, and then you come back and look at what those priorities actually, sometimes they can seem quite big to everybody else, but when you look into the detail, it probably requires a couple of hours of your attention, and it could be done like that. So yeah, at face value, it could look stressful and overwhelming, but sometimes when you look into the detail, you start to realize that, okay, maybe it's not as bad as it looks. It just needs to be done in 2 days' time, for example, as opposed to something else that needs to be done in a week. So being able to assess that will help you tremendously when you're under pressure to get things done all at the same time. So how do I handle it? And what helps me, I think I mentioned this skill in my previous video, so go back and watch it if you haven't already. But the one thing that helps me is clear communication. Being honest with the stakeholders, even though the news isn't that great, but it helps you build that trust with them, even though it's not what they want to hear or the feedback they want to receive. Being honest with them at the earliest opportunity will give you that sort of step up into building that relationship with them, so that they're able to trust anything that you say moving forward. And this is a little personal one. I make time for my self-care, because you cannot pour out of an empty cup. A project can only succeed when the project manager is managing the project with a level head. So that is one point I will just say. You cannot pour out of an empty cup, so fill your cup up. So yes, the hardest part isn't about the spreadsheets, or is it about the tools or emails or the administrative side of project management. It's about managing people and keeping your resilience also in check. Once you've mastered those, you won't only survive as a project manager, you'll actually thrive. If you found this helpful, share it with someone or a couple of people, and subscribe for more Project Management Diaries, where I share the real side of the role. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.